for a while, fairy tales got a little scrubbed up and clean with all the animated fare. What are you doing to bring it back to more of the grim vision?
I think, you know, we're going back to the grim story. You know, I think people think that so much of, because the Disney model has been so successful, they really think that that is what the grim fairy tale is. But when they go back and read that story, they're quite surprised how different the Disney version of it is. So we're really going back to the source material. You know, it's as simple as that. We're trying to tell the source material in a very modern, gritty, realistic way that really does due diligence to the original story and not the Disney version.
What are some of your other inspirations for like the look and feel of this movie?
I think actually the man who made Prometheus, who is a fellow commercial director turned big movie director, and whose work I'm a great admirer of, and I love the epic scale of what Ridley does in films like Gladiator and Robin Hood and Blade Runner. You know, he's definitely one of the people I've really followed. But you know, there's definitely some big battle sequences that are you know, in that wheelhouse. But to me, it was going back to things that I actually looked at as a child. A lot of incarcerated Victorian fairy painters, a lot of Hans Christian Andersen and Pernod, other fairy tales. I went back to the literature rather than to the images, but then having reread all that literature, I then went and started to just find artists whose work really inspired me and was drawing from those kind of worlds. And I put a team together of international artists, much like Walt Disney did. You know, he went into the kind of the ashes of the Second World War and grabbed out all the best Western European artists and housed them in Burbank, and that's why some of those films look so incredible.
It looks amazing. So in terms of Charlize Theron, casting her, was it a revelation where you just like, I got it?
Yeah, it was, you know, it was she was the really the obvious choice in hindsight. You know, she's so beautiful and so strong. And she's able to play this incredible darkness, but with an incredible wounded sense. You know, she's never, there's the villain, that's all she does. You know, she's really, I think what she did, which really summed up what we were trying to do in the movie, is that she grounded her character in realism, which is what we were trying to do with the fairy tale. And I think that her character's so believable and so real, and the things that she does are so abhorrent that you really just go along with her. She's incredible to watch. I was very privileged to be on the same set with her, let alone to be speaking to her.
Awesome. The dwarves in the movie are much different than dwarves we've seen from Snow White in the past. Can you tell me about that, and then also about how you cast these guys?
I created a Bible of the world, and I went and met with them all, and I showed them what I was trying to do. I showed them a trailer that I shot a year before we started the movie, which was really how I got the project, or how I got the funding to do the project. And I think just once they understood what I was trying to do with the film, they came on board. And you know, it's that kind of thing of once you got a couple of them, the others all follow. So Ian McShane and Bob Hoskins came on first, and then Ray Winston. You know, it was great. I was like meeting all the legends of the British gangster movies I grew up with, like Sexy Beast and Long Good Friday and Mona Lisa, and here they are. So they're very like, what's great about the Dwarfs, they're very aggressive, very violent, but they've got an incredible wounded heart to them as well. Everyone in the film has suffered great loss, and it's really how they deal with it. So they're very emotional. You know, you will shed a tear at the Dwarfs.
Awesome. So last question, I have to ask this because we're so into gaming. You did the Halo shorts, and I was wondering, would you ever approach a Halo movie? Would you ever take a Halo movie if it was offered to you?
I think yeah, they'd have to approach me, I think. I mean, it doesn't really, you know, I think they had talked about a Halo movie, but to be honest, it's such a big property. They make way more money than we do in the film division. So we're like the kind of the poor bastard cousins. So they're not really that interested in us. But you know, I loved creating that world. It was a lot of fun to work with. And I think, again, you know, we tried to create emotional stories for Halo. And I think that was what was so successful about the campaign. I mean, it won 2 Gold Lions at Cannes, which is pretty amazing. No film like that ever does. Sometimes wins 1, but we won 2. You know, it just touched people, and I think what it touched is that we found an emotion in there, and I think that's what we really tried to do with this film, is to bring an emotional film that I hope people will, you know, come away with feeling a bit more full than they do when they leave another kind of, you know, more vacuous popcorn movie.
Awesome. Is there any video game movie you'd like to tackle?
video game movie I'd like to tackle. I think most of the good ones have been taken. I'd like to make Black Hole, a graphic novel by Charles Burns. So if you're out there, Charles.